What is the relationship between the brain, the mind, consciousness, and religion? Philosophers have debated this question for thousands of years, and new discoveries in neuroscience have given us new insights into the question. Some will argue that the brain is more real than the mind, that since the brain produces the mind, it possesses more reality than the mind does. Others will point out that actually the only thing we have direct access to is the mind, that we experience matter in the physical world through our mind, and we only know it through the mind. Therefore, the mind possesses more reality than the brain. Some will argue that this is a false choice, that in fact to force us to choose between the reality of the brain and the reality of the mind is a false binary. Instead, some people exist that the brain and the mind are equally real, that even though the brain supports the mind in its existence, the mind retains as much reality as the brain. This approach is called property dualism, the belief that one substance, the brain, can have different sets of properties, both physical properties and mental properties. The brain, for example, has weight, volume. You can see it. It has color. It has objective reality. You can touch it. The mind, on the other hand, has no weight. It has no volume. You can't see it. You can't touch it because it's not physical. It does not have objective reality. It has subjective reality. And yet we can observe our minds directly. One of the best examples of the brain-mind interface is the experience of pain. We have all suffered pain. It is a universal human experience. Pain is produced by the brain, but it's experienced by the mind. And since it's a mental experience, it cannot be precisely measured or quantified. It can only be estimated. For years, the fact that pain was subjective rather than objective caused doctors to ignore it and not to treat it as a clinical condition. But now we know that subjective experiences, like pain, can affect our bodies. They can cause depression, mental illness, and even disease. Another important mental experience is that of color. If a scientist knew all there was to know about the color red, for example, its wavelength, the nature of light, how the brain processes light, and yet that scientist had never seen the color red, had never seen a red thing, then when that scientist saw something red for the first time, that scientist would learn something new. In this view, both mental events and physical events are equally real. Both the objective, things that can be measured, such as our physical environment, matter, aspects of our bodies, and even our behavior, are absolutely real, as are subjective realities, things that cannot be measured, such as beliefs, sensations, emotions, beauty, and even morality. The absolute reality of both subjective experience and objective experience has important implications for religion. Some people will assert that because every religious experience has a corresponding brain event, religious experience is nothing but a byproduct of brain function. But this critique does not necessarily stand up to scrutiny. Because we have a mental experience of food and flavor and scent, we do not deny the reality of that which produces that mental experience. We don't deny the reality of cinnamon when we experience the scent and flavor of cinnamon. Instead, we acknowledge that the mental experience was produced by the physical reality. Likewise, someone who has a religious experience of God or the soul or spirit will most likely have a corresponding brain event, according to the latest research in neuroscience. But this correspondence does not mean that the religious experience was merely a brain event or nothing but a brain event. The past several decades have produced dramatic advances in our understanding of the brain and neuroscience. Computers have become so advanced that they sometimes almost seem to mimic brain function. New technologies are opening new horizons to us, horizons that may initially seem disorienting. But human beings have always and will always seek meaning and beauty. If past is precedent, then human beings will continue to seek meaning and beauty in the life of spirit, in ritual, meditation, and worship. For this reason, religious people should not fear advances in neuroscience. They should celebrate them. For science itself is not a threat to faith, but is but one more expression of the great human spirit.